Let's begin with a truth most people are too afraid to say out loud. Kindness alone will destroy you. It sounds harsh. It goes against everything you were taught growing up. You were told to be good, to treat others with respect, to tell the truth, to be fair, and to play by the rules. But if you've lived long enough, you already know the world does not reward purity. It rewards strategy. It rewards presence. It rewards control. And if you don't learn to master those things, your kindness becomes your downfall. You've been told all your life that good things come to good people. But think back. How many times have you done the right thing and gotten nothing in return? Or worse, been punished for it? You're polite. You're helpful. You sacrifice for others. And yet somehow, they walk all over you. They ignore your efforts. They sense your kindness and treat it like weakness. Why? Because in the real world, kindness without power is an open invitation to be used. People don't always see your intentions. They see your position, your emotional posture, your vulnerability. And when they sense you're desperate for approval, when they see that you won't push back or defend your own dignity, they stop respecting you. And here's where Niccolò Machiavelli's genius begins to shine. He didn't hate morality. He didn't despise virtue. But he understood something that most people never grasp. Virtue without cunning is weakness. Because being good is not enough. The world doesn't reward you for being good. It rewards those who know how to move. Let's be clear. This isn't about becoming evil. It's about becoming effective. Machiavelli wasn't trying to turn men into monsters. He was trying to prepare them to survive in a world full of monsters. So if you've ever felt like your goodness has been a curse, if you've ever wondered why people don't treat you the way you treat them, if you've ever stayed quiet to keep the peace and ended up silenced instead, this message is for you. Because Machiavelli offers you something rare in a world that rewards fakery, a strategy, not a fairy tale, not a lie. A real-world philosophy for those who want to keep their soul intact without getting stepped on in the process. You see, the problem isn't your kindness. The problem is that you don't know how to protect it. You don't have a strategy for power. You don't understand how others perceive you, and worst of all, you assume everyone else is playing by the same rules. They're not. The world is full of predators who hide behind smiles, manipulators who use compliments as weapons, people who test your boundaries just to see if they can break them. And without knowing it, you've become the perfect target. Why? Because you've been trained to be agreeable, to be soft-spoken, to put others first, and to never question the motives of those around you. That's not morality. That's vulnerability disguised as virtue. Machiavelli understood something powerful. Power is not evil. It's necessary. And it's not just about gaining it for yourself. It's about protecting what's already yours, your peace, your dignity, your energy, your time. They can all be stolen if you don't know how to defend them. Because predators don't need you to be evil for you to lose. They just need you to be unprepared. So the first step in the Machiavellian mindset isn't to lie, cheat, or betray. It's to awaken, to finally admit to yourself, the world does not run on fairness. It runs on perception, power, and positioning. And once you accept that, you stop being surprised when people don't reward your efforts. You stop waiting for others to validate your value. You stop seeking approval from those who only see you as an opportunity. You start seeing things as they are. Now here's the bitter pill. You've probably told yourself that you're different, that eventually your heart will be recognized, that staying pure and selfless will somehow set you apart. But all it's done is make you easy to predict, easy to manipulate, easy to ignore. Why? Because you've never learned to wield strategic power. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." You chose to be loved, to be agreeable, to be acceptable. But where has that gotten you? Not loyalty, not protection, not influence. Instead, it has earned you repetition. Repetition of betrayal, repetition of disappointment, repetition of being overlooked. So here's the shift. You don't need to stop being kind. You need to start being kind with intention. Kind with strategy, kind with boundaries, kind with the power to say no, and the strength to walk away. Because kindness, when paired with strength, becomes admirable. But kindness without strength, it becomes forgettable, or worse, exploitative bait. Are you ready to stop living in the illusion that goodness is enough? Are you ready to trade fantasy for clarity, to stop waiting for the world to recognize your worth and to start projecting it? Because once you make that decision, you begin to walk a different path. You begin to become what Machiavelli described not as a tyrant, but as a ruler of the self. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about becoming who you were meant to be without apology. Let's talk about something Machiavelli understood long before Instagram, LinkedIn, or carefully curated public lives. It's not enough to be powerful. You have to look powerful. It's not enough to be intelligent. You have to project intelligence. In the world of power, perception is reality. And that's where most good people fail, because they think the truth is enough. They believe that if they work hard, speak honestly, and treat others well, success will follow. But the world doesn't work like that. In real life, people don't follow the most moral, the most qualified, or even the most sincere. They follow the one who seems in control, the one who radiates confidence, even when they don't have all the answers, the one who knows how to sell the story, not just live it. Machiavelli was crystal clear about this. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. And that truth, ignored by most, is why so many talented, kind, capable people never rise. Because they never learn to master the most powerful illusion in the world, their own image. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever watched someone less competent than you rise faster, get promoted sooner, win people over with ease while you're still trying to prove yourself? Of course you have. And it wasn't because they were better. It's because they understood the first rule of influence. People don't respond to your reality. They respond to their perception of your reality. So while you were working behind the scenes, they were managing their visibility. While you were trying to prove your worth through effort, they were shaping the narrative. While you were being humble and modest, they were directing attention and collecting power. That's not unfair. That's the game. And if you don't learn to play it, you'll spend your life watching others win, while you wonder what you did wrong. So how do you master your image? It starts with a brutal truth. If you look weak, you will be treated as weak. If you look uncertain, you will be ignored. If you seem soft, others will push past you. You may have a brilliant mind, a generous heart, and a loyal soul. But none of that matters if you can't project value. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant. It doesn't mean pretending to be something you're not. It means learning the art of strategic projection, the ability to highlight your power, downplay your weaknesses, and direct people's focus to the traits you want them to associate with you. This is not deception. It's not manipulation. It's presentation. And if you think it's beneath you, think again. Because everyone is playing this game. The only difference is, are you playing it consciously or being played by it unconsciously? Let's get even more specific. Every room you walk into, Every interaction you have, you're being read. People are scanning. Do you seem confident or hesitant? Do you walk with purpose or with apology? Do your eyes hold steady, or do they dart away in discomfort? Does your voice carry certainty, or does it trail off in self-doubt? In seconds, people form a judgment, not about who you are, but who they think you are. That judgment shapes how they treat you. And if you don't control that impression, someone else will. This is why mastering your image is not vanity. It's survival. You must learn how to control your narrative, or you'll be a side character in someone else's. Because here's the hard truth. Competence doesn't speak for itself. You do. Value doesn't announce itself. You must present it. So when you walk into that room, when you sit down at that meeting, when you engage in that negotiation, you're not just there to be yourself. You're there to represent yourself, to represent your strength, your confidence, your value. If you don't believe in your own presence, why would anyone else? Machiavelli knew this. He understood that power was not only about what you do, but about how you appear while doing it. The greatest leaders in history weren't just strategists. They were performers. They knew how to speak with gravity, how to enter a room like they belonged there, how to move with precision, with silence, with confidence. Because silence, when used correctly, is louder than any speech. That brings us to one of the most underrated tools of influence: strategic silence. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. You don't have to overshare to seem honest. You don't have to be loud to be heard. The less predictable you are, the more powerful you become. Have you ever noticed that the most respected people don't speak often? They don't rush to fill silences. They don't justify every move. They don't reveal every detail. Why? Because when you say less, your words carry more weight. When you leave gaps, people fill them with curiosity. When you don't show all your cards, you keep the advantage. Machiavelli warned, "A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise." That's not cynicism. It's strategy. It's a reminder that transparency without intention becomes vulnerability. So stop over-explaining. Stop trying to prove. Stop trying to be liked by everyone. Start learning the art of mystery. Start becoming someone who commands attention, not just someone who pleads for it. In the end, here's what Machiavelli knew better than most. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. All men have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration. That's your edge. Because once you understand how to use perception, how to control it, bend it, and leverage it, you no longer need to wait for others to recognize your value. You make them see it. You project strength. You command respect. You shape your narrative. And suddenly, the same people who used to overlook you, they start second-guessing themselves. Because now, you're no longer walking in trying to be liked. You're walking in as someone who already knows they belong. Let's make something clear. Most people lose the game before they even know they're in it. And they don't lose because they're unqualified. They don't lose because they're bad people. They lose because they can't control their emotions. Machiavelli said it best. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. You know what that means? It means strategy requires emotional distance. It means power belongs to those who know how to pause, how to respond instead of react. And this, right here, is where most people collapse. They get provoked, they take things personally, they let anger, fear, or insecurity dictate their next move. And the moment that happens, they become predictable, they become exposed, they become easy to control. Let's break this down with an example. Think of a time someone insulted you. They hit a nerve. Maybe they mocked your work, questioned your intelligence, or tried to humiliate you in front of others. What happened? You got hot. You reacted. Your heart raced. Your thoughts scrambled. Maybe you lashed out. Maybe you walked away wounded. Either way, they had the power. Not because they were smarter, not because they were stronger, but because they controlled your emotional state. Now reverse it. Think of the people you can't shake, the ones who stay calm no matter what. They don't flinch, they don't panic, they don't respond to provocation. What happens? You start questioning yourself. You wonder what they're thinking. You lose your edge because they never lost theirs. That's what Machiavelli meant when he said, "He who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still." This is not about being cold. It's not about becoming robotic or numb. It's about emotional discipline, something most people never even attempt to master. Because we live in a culture that celebrates emotional expression, that tells you to let it all out, that confuses being authentic with being emotionally reactive. But raw emotion without control is not power. It's volatility. And volatile people don't command respect. They're tolerated at best, dismissed at worst. Here's a truth most people will never admit. The person who can't be provoked is untouchable. When someone insults you and you don't flinch, that's power. When they mock you and you smile with calm, that's power. When they try to manipulate you and you see right through it without blinking, that's power. Why? Because you can't be baited. Because you see the game and refuse to be a pawn in it. Because your value doesn't hang on someone else's validation or attack. That kind of person is dangerous. That kind of person makes others rethink everything. And here's where it gets deeper. Emotional control isn't just about how you handle others. It's how you handle yourself. It's how you deal with fear. It's how you respond to failure. It's how you manage jealousy, insecurity, uncertainty. Do you collapse under pressure, or do you adapt? Because in the darkest moments, most people reach for distraction. They numb themselves with entertainment, food, substances, attention. But the strategist, the one trained by pain, tempered by solitude, he leans in. He studies the storm. He doesn't run from it. He learns to breathe inside it. That's the man Machiavelli was writing to, the one who doesn't lose his head when everything goes wrong. The lion must learn when to be the fox, Machiavelli wrote, and the fox never shows fear, not even when it's cornered. So how do you build this emotional armor? It starts with one word: stillness. Stillness doesn't mean passivity. It means control. It means refusing to let the chaos outside infect the clarity inside. Next time someone tests you, pause. Next time someone tries to provoke you, smile. Next time your pride screams to respond, go silent. Because the greatest power in the world is not the strike. It's the ability not to strike and still win. Let me ask you this. How often do you speak just to defend your ego? How often do you react just because you feel slighted? How many times have you lost control and paid the price later? You're not weak. You're untrained. Emotional strength is not natural. It's earned. It's practiced. It's built through repetition, reflection, and restraint. And the more you master it, the more you control the board. Because think about this. If someone knows how to make you angry, they control you. If someone knows how to make you insecure, they control you. If someone knows how to make you overreact, they control you. But if no one can access your triggers, you control yourself. And once you do that, you begin to control how others see you. They start walking more carefully. They start choosing their words with more precision. They start respecting what they can't manipulate. You become an enigma, a wall they can't climb, a player they can't read. And now you've reached a higher level of the game, because the world doesn't just respond to power, it responds to composure. A man who's mastered his emotions, he's no longer just surviving, he's commanding. And the ones who tried to bait him, they start to fear him, because he's no longer predictable, no longer reactive, no longer easy prey. He's calm, he's clear, he's in control, and that is the final form of power. Let's talk about presence, your presence. Not just physical presence, but the weight your presence carries. Machiavelli understood a deep truth. Power is about control of attention, and attention is a scarce resource. If you're everywhere, all the time, your value drops. If you're always available, your presence loses its power. You've probably seen this in your own life. There's that one person who walks into the room and commands respect just by being there, without saying a word. And then there's the person who tries too hard, always hovering, always seeking approval, and gets ignored. Why? Because scarcity increases value, and familiarity breeds contempt, or worse, indifference. Think about the last time someone truly missed you. Maybe it was a friend you hadn't seen in months, maybe a colleague who stopped hearing from you for a few days, maybe even a family member. When you returned, they treated you differently. They noticed you more. They valued your time more. That's the power of strategic distance. Machiavelli warned against being too accessible, not to create arrogance, but to preserve respect. Because when you're too available, people start to take you for granted. Your efforts become expected. Your generosity becomes overlooked. This applies everywhere. Work, relationships, friendships. If you're always the first to reply, always the one to show up, always the one who sacrifices, people stop valuing you. They stop seeing you as someone of worth. You become just a resource. That's why the most powerful players choose their moments. They don't rush to be everywhere at once. They don't broadcast every move. They appear when they want to be noticed and disappear when they want to create longing. Let me give you a concrete example. Think about powerful leaders, celebrities, or influencers. They don't flood social media 24/7. They post selectively. They don't answer every message. They don't accept every invitation. Why? Because by limiting availability, they increase demand. Their presence becomes rare, and rarity commands respect. Now think about your own life. How often have you felt drained because you gave too much? How often have you been overlooked because you were always there? How often has your generosity been treated as weakness? If you want to change the game, you need to start managing your presence. Control how often people hear from you. Don't always be the first to reply. Don't always make yourself reachable. Let people feel your absence. Let your silence carry weight. This doesn't mean cutting people off or being rude. It means setting boundaries. It means deciding when you show up and when you step back. It means valuing your time, energy, and effort enough to protect them. Because when you do this, you don't just gain respect, you gain influence. People start seeking you. They start wondering what you're doing, where you've been. They start chasing your presence. Machiavelli wasn't just writing about politics. He was writing about human nature. And human nature is simple. What is abundant is overlooked. What is scarce is prized. So, the question becomes, are you going to be the person everyone takes for granted? Or are you going to be the person everyone seeks? If you choose the latter, you need to learn to use strategic distance, to become the rare commodity in a world of excess, to make your presence feel like a gift, not a burden. Now that you understand the power of presence and absence, let's dive into another key to true influence: unpredictability. Machiavelli was a master strategist, and he knew this. A leader who's easy to read is a leader who's easy to control. Predictability is vulnerability. When people can anticipate your next move, they can counter it. When your behavior is scripted, they can manipulate you. When you're transparent in your intentions, you become an open book. No longer powerful, just exposed. Think about it. Have you ever been burned by someone you thought you understood? Someone you trusted because you thought you could predict their actions? Maybe a business partner, a friend, or even a lover. And then they surprised you. They switched tactics, changed their tone, vanished when you expected them to show up. That's the power of unpredictability. It keeps others off balance. It forces them to second-guess themselves. It puts the control back in your hands. Why is this so effective? Because humans hate uncertainty. We crave patterns and predictability because they make us feel safe. When you break those patterns, when you become unpredictable, you become dangerous. Others don't know how to approach you. They don't know what to expect. They hesitate before trying to manipulate or challenge you. You gain psychological advantage. Unpredictability doesn't mean chaos. It means strategic variability. It means knowing when to be silent and when to speak, when to engage and when to withdraw, when to act boldly and when to play it cool. It's about being a moving target, impossible to pin down. Machiavelli's advice to leaders was clear. A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests. He wasn't advocating dishonesty for its own sake. He was highlighting the importance of flexibility and calculation. Sometimes you show your hand. Sometimes you hide it. Sometimes you switch hands completely. The unpredictable player always holds the power. So how do you cultivate this art? Start small. Change your routines. Vary your responses. Avoid predictable patterns in conversations and decisions. Don't let people get comfortable guessing your moves. Keep them guessing. This unpredictability also protects you. When others can't anticipate you, they can't exploit you. You become a fortress. And when you combine this with emotional control, strategic distance, and image mastery, you become nearly untouchable. Here's the real power of unpredictability. It creates respect through uncertainty. People respect what they fear they cannot control. They respect what they cannot fully understand. And the unpredictable person commands exactly that. Remember, Machiavelli wasn't writing for the faint-hearted. He wrote for those who wanted to win. Not just survive, not just follow rules, but rule the game itself. We've covered a lot. The power of emotional control, strategic distance, unpredictability. Now it all comes down to one final, often overlooked principle: strategic patience. Most people live in a world of instant gratification. They want success now, recognition now, power now. But Machiavelli and every great strategist in history understood this truth. Fortune favors those who wait. Think of a hunter stalking prey. He doesn't rush the shot. He watches. He waits. He calculates the perfect moment. Only when the prey is in the exact right position does he strike. This is strategic patience. It's not passive waiting. It's active preparation. It's understanding that rushing leads to mistakes, that timing is everything. Most people act out of impulse. They jump on every opportunity. They react to every slight. They make moves without a plan. And what happens? They get burned. They lose respect. They fail to build lasting power. Strategic patience means knowing when to push forward and when to pull back. It means being deliberate in your actions, calculating the long game. It means mastering timing, not just speed. Machiavelli said, "The wise adapt, they do not force the current." This means flexibility, Not brute force. It means acting with precision. But there's more. Strategic patience also means becoming an anomaly. The system expects conformity. It expects predictable players. It expects obedience to rules. But the truly powerful, they break the mold. They write their own rules. They become exceptions. Why? Because the system is designed to devour those who conform. If you act like everyone else, you get what everyone else gets: mediocrity, obscurity. But if you choose to be different, unpredictable, patient, strategic, you become unstoppable. This requires courage. It requires the strength to stand apart, to reject the scripts handed to you, to make choices that confuse and challenge the status quo. But this is the only way to truly shape your destiny. And once you become that exception, the world reacts differently. People pay attention. People listen. People respect you. Not because of luck, but because of the power you've built. You're no longer a victim of the game. You're the one who controls the game. So ask yourself, are you willing to trade instant gratification for long-term power? Are you ready to be patient when others rush? Are you ready to be the anomaly that changes the rules? Because the difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck isn't knowledge. It's action. This is Machiavelli's brutal truth. Kindness alone won't save you. Power belongs to the intelligent, the patient, the unpredictable. It belongs to those who master perception, control information, wield emotional power, and wait for their moment. Now the choice is yours. Will you keep playing by the old rules and remain a pawn? Or will you become the player who shapes the board? Comment below. Tell me which part hit you the most. Which lesson you're going to apply first. I'm reading every single comment and will reply personally. This isn't just a monologue. It's the start of your transformation. Thank you for listening. The game has just begun.